Welcome back to JOJ. It's July 18th.
Yep.
Last week we talked about Ott's heart surgery and just kind of what it was like that few days in the hospital. And so this episode we figure we'll kind of talk you through our recovery and being at home and the next couple months after that.
Yeah, kind of getting back to normal life a little bit. As quick as we could.
Yeah.
So the one we picked out for this one was Jeremiah 17:14, and it says, "Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved, for you are the one I praise."
Yep, so we came home and our kids were home for just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They came and because we didn't, they went on vacation with your mom. They had planned a vacation, and it just happened to work out that it was like right when we were at home and getting recovered. Mm-hmm. So it was good for me because then I could just focus on worrying about Ott and not having kids everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they were just home maybe a week before they went.
I don't even think it was a week. I think it was just a few days. Yeah,
3 or 4 days. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
And I know y'all know we talk about Elle, and she has been on our episodes. She's downstairs right now. But a little backstory, which we've probably talked about a little bit in previous episodes, is we had been kicking around the idea of getting a puppy, and actually the lady that was our loan officer when we built posted pictures that her dog had puppies, and they were Australian Shepherds. And I grew up with labs and them and some mutts that we find on the streets. So we always had dogs. Ott had some Rottweilers and bigger dogs. And
some mutts.
Yeah, and some mutts. And so we had kicked around the idea of we had talked about getting a puppy, and I was like, it'd be good, like, she had posted this, and I was like, it'd be good because it'd be summertime. Of course, I researched, like, Australian Shepherds are great with kids. They need a job to do, and, we have plenty of room for her to run. And so we went on a date night, went and picked her out. Like, she's only 2 or 3 days old.
Yeah, she's a little bitty.
Just felt, we actually went for a blue merle. Like, we were hoping that there was only one, but we didn't know if it was a boy or girl. And so that one ended up being a boy. And we were like, no, we really want to get a girl. And so ended up picking Elle out. She had like a little heart on her head, and she ended up being identical to her mama. But picked her up, but the kids had no idea. We ended up telling Abby about a month later because the horse that we were leasing just had a heart attack one day in the field. It was awful. And so that night I was kind of like
consoling her.
I'm really sorry, but here's some good news. We're going to get this, like in a month. And, and showed her a picture. And of course she was excited, but it wasn't a horse. So, so she was the only one that knew about her. So anyway, then we find out that Ott's having heart surgery, and I'm like, we're not getting this dog. Like, I can't, because we're supposed to pick her up, like, right in the time that he's having this surgery, or right after.
It would have been like, come home from surgery, pick her up the next day.
Something like that.
It would have been 6 weeks or whatever.
And so it was actually already later. She was already a little bit older because we were delaying getting her because we were supposed to be at the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
So she was already going to be a little bit older. And, I'm just like freaking out because I'm like, I can't do a puppy, and you've just had heart surgery, and we have 3 kids, and plus the other dog we already have. I was like, I can't. I'm not doing it. And he threw the biggest fit.
I did.
Like,
it's like, no, I want my puppy.
That was my puppy. I'm like, no, it's for the children. Like, it's not your puppy. And so he threw the biggest fit. And so a week after heart surgery,
we go and pick her up.
Carries his little heart pillow.
Yeah. We rode up to Greenville.
And went and got Elle.
We get there and
Nikki.
Nikki. She's like, I get out of the van. I walk pretty slow at this point.
Frail.
I'm pretty frail. I'm the least I've weighed ever.
Yeah.
I've been a very long time. I'm normally about 185 or so. I was down to like 160 or 165 somewhere in there. And so I'm frail and walking real slow. And I walk in the barn, I'm like, I'm kind of checking out, and I'm like, babe, I'm going to go back to the van.
Yeah, he came from the van to the barn, and he's like, I need, well, that, and you weren't supposed to sweat. You weren't supposed to sweat. And, of course, it's July. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the humidity is awful.
And I leave, and Nikki's like, should he be here? Is he okay?
Probably not, but he was not coming to get this dog. And so lo and behold, she is his dog, and the kids are like, that's why he recovered so well, is because he had Elle, and
she was something to focus on. Anyway,
she was a good distraction for everything else. So like when we came home, you know, we had to go for walks in the morning. Like I had to walk the puppy and I had to walk God. Like it was pretty comical because he couldn't sweat.
I couldn't sweat. So for 2 weeks they were like, you know, it's summertime. You know, you do need to get up, move around. You know, walking outside would be good, but you need to do it in the mornings or in the evenings when it's cool. You know, you can walk around obviously in the house, but you know, if you're going to walk around outside, do it early. And so that's what we'd do. We'd get up, you know, before it'd be warm, go out front, walk. Literally, I mean, I'd walk down the couple steps, the end of the walkway to the driveway and back. It wasn't like I was walking to the top of the hill and back. I'd walk then the driveway, I'd come back in, I'd sit down on the couch and sometimes take a nap.
Usually took a nap.
I mean, he
would be exhausted after that.
That's what blew me away. And they told me, I mean, they were like, listen, it's going to be, you know, you're young, you're healthy, your heart's in good shape, but you're going to be 6 or 8 weeks before you feel like yourself at all. I'm like, 6 or 8? I mean, that's 2 months.
And it's summertime, so if you have a fisherman and it's summertime, keeping them indoors.
Right. I mean, I'm like 8 weeks before but it blew me away how slow of a process it was to get that back. You know.
Yeah.
And was that just? They may have explained it more to you. Was that just a product of the heart bypass?
A lot of it is from being, you know, they said they're like people kind of underestimate the process of it. Like, even though they say it was minimally invasive, you know, we didn't have to do open chest. It just was through the lungs. But the actual process of shutting your heart off and being on the bypass, like it just takes such a toll on your body to do that whole process that whether you're younger or older. I mean, obviously, the younger you are, the easier it is. But, I mean, it's not like you were unhealthy or in bad shape or anything. It just takes time.
Yeah.
And everybody's body is different. So, you know, I probably would have been better in like 4 days, but, you know, 4 weeks for you is.
Yeah, sure. I do think like Andy Montgomery's daughter, you know, Kinsley.
Yeah, Kinsley was like a week, and she was.
But how old is she?
She's 7.
7. So, but yeah, that was. I mean, she had bona fide open heart surgery, same kind of deal. Hers was she had a hole in her heart that they had to fix. But yeah, like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
She was 100%. Well, actually, even more than maybe. You know, because she was actually fixed.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm like, dang, 7-year-old's tougher than I am. But, I mean, she really was.
Yeah. And so, so they told us, you know, of course, Ott's first question, well, how long till I can fish?
Yeah.
Like, that's what he really wanted to know.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I mean, you know, you'll be they pretty much were like, you're going to be the judge of that, because especially being this arm, you know, his left arm would be easier to cast, but this one was going to be the... because of it being right here. But
it was, I remember every day in the shower, you know, or just I mean, in the house or whatever, you know, like I said before, raising my arm up, you know, that heart pillow and holding it when I'd cough, you know, and that every day got better and better. And I could raise my arm a little more, and I could wash the back of my neck, you know, with this hand, and then I could, you know, I mean, each day I would just try to work it up a little more, because stretching these muscles right in here on my ribs, there was no worry of injuring anything in my heart. It was literally just those muscles. That's what was so sore. So I mean, I would put my arm up on the wall, and I'd, you know, try to lean into it as much as I could, just stretching that stuff back out. And yeah, that was, they were like, listen, once I got past the 2 weeks, it was do whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like doing, as far as exercise, sweat, anything. And they were like, you're good to go. You just, you know, don't overdo it.
Yeah,
but
you be the judge of it. So 2 weeks later, And he was out in the yard casting.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I gotta go get.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I wasn't fishing. I'm talking about just you went and got a rod to make sure you could still cast.
Yes, I did it. Yes.
That was like his biggest worry was, what if this messes up how I fish?
What if I can't cast?
What if I can't catch a fish again?
Yeah.
I think it just fired him up, apparently.
yeah. I don't need to do it again, but it did pretty good. But it was like 2.5 weeks was the first time I went fishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't long after that.
No, and that was, me and Biggs went up on the river, up on the upper part of the Holston, and I remember we fished about, it was, I mean it's still, obviously summertime, but it was a little bit nicer of a day, and I remember we fished about 5 hours, and I was done.
Yeah, you were done.
I was totally done.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was, and then how long was it before your first tournament? Was it 4 or 5 weeks?
I had a cup at like 5 weeks, and I mean, after that day, I'd fished, once or twice a week. I'd go for a few hours, but at 5 weeks, had a cup in New York. Which is the nice thing about the cups, there's no practice.
Yeah,
you don't need your boat. You just show up, and for that one, I flew to it because I knew I didn't want to have to drive 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever. I met Wheeler. Jacob Wheeler came on his way through. I stopped down here at the interstate, took in my rods and reels and all my tackle and stuff, and he hauled it up there for me.
Yep.
That was super nice of him. And I flew up in my rental car.
Well, he had a normal rental car. I booked him a normal rental car. Let's be clear.
But when I got there, they were like, they had this red Camaro convertible sitting there. I said, "Is there any upcharge for that one?" They're like, "No, you can have that one." I said, "Perfect. I'll take the Camaro convertible. I mean, I just had heart surgery. I can drive a convertible around."
Yeah, so he shows up to the hotel, and I don't even know if I knew it yet, or if like they sent me pictures or something, and they're like, apparently the midlife crisis is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just laugh.
Yeah. It was great. That's what I'd put my rods, I'd pile all my rods in the passenger seat, and I'd cruise around in the Camaro.
Camaro.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, and for me, of course, I was nervous because he's at a tournament, he's by himself, and Aaron, the tournament director, like I had talked to him, without not knowing, and I'm like, listen, I just need updates. Like, I'm worried about him because it's different fun fishing than going out and competing and having the stress of score tracker, and it's a lot more intense.
Yeah.
And so Aaron's like, listen, I've got you. Like, I've got, his official is going to update me the whole time. Like, we're not going to let anything happen. If he's, too tired, we'll make him sit. Like, I promise he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so he did that whole week, and I think when I got home, I told him, I was like, I hope Aaron was like, they were giving me updates the whole time because
they were checking on me pretty hard.
Yeah.
And the thing I remember about that, my first competition day back, that event was out of Syracuse, New York, but we were fishing on Henderson Bay, part of Lake Ontario. So really big water. I mean, it's our last Bass Pro Tour event was just on St. Lawrence River. We couldn't go out to that part of Lake Ontario, but yeah, huge water. And we're in Z19s, which are a little bit smaller boats, especially to be on such big water. And then the biggest thing I remember about that, so it was like an hour in the truck. We put the boats in. It's a long day. I remember there being a couple of delays, mechanical storm, something that added another hour or hour and a half onto the day. And then an hour back. And I remember when we loaded the boat and I got in the truck, I slept the whole way back in the truck because I was just totally exhausted.
Just done, yeah.
But I did have a couple of days off before my next day of competition. I didn't make the cut in that first day. I didn't make it past the sudden death round.
Which that was kind of our thought with the cups was like, you tend to have off days.
Yeah.
So we knew that would be good, and then after that, our next event was the Red Crest.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
And I flew into that one. I wasn't there the whole time, but I can remember. I mean, all it was just exhausted because that you have practice, and then you go into tournament days, and
so and
you took it like I feel like you didn't practice
Well, what happened was, so Sunday the first day of practice was on Sunday. We had fishing church, so that was early.
Yep.
So I went to that. I remember getting up at 5 or 5:30, going to fishing church, and then I practiced. But I practiced till like 6 o'clock that night, which was dumb. I pushed myself way too hard. I about couldn't get out of bed the next day. I remember
I knew you slept in or you did something.
Yeah, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock the next day before I even got up and got out on the water because I
overdid it.
Yeah, I should have, having that early morning on Sunday, I should have got off the water at 3 or 4 o'clock. I could have had a much more productive day the next day. I was like, man, and I felt pretty good. I mean, going all day, but once it hit me, I was like, oh, it's too late. I mean, I was like, yeah, I need to sleep in tomorrow and
catch up on some rest. And I think that's, for you was hard to just, it's easy for me to be like, you need to, chill out, come in early. But that's not who he is.
No, and that's I'm never am a daylight to dark practicer. I'll get out there at daylight, but 5 or 6 p.m. is kind of I like to practice about 10 to 11 hours. I don't like to go 12. That's just what works for me. And in that time, I should have known 8 hours was probably going to be enough.
7 or 8.
It was all I needed to try to put in. But I did. I was like, well, I'll do my usual, 11 hours or so. And a little bit much.
Yeah, didn't really work.
A little much.
And we had a pretty good break after that, though.
Yeah.
So that was.
And by the next tournament was another cup, and that one I think was the one in Oklahoma where we played basketball.
Yeah.
Where we played gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we knew. I mean, Red Crest was kind of the last tournament that it was kind of
really affected by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we were pretty good.
Yeah.
But
But
all in all, that's you know.
That was kind of the full recovery, and that it really ended up being Red Crest was like 8 or 9 weeks, and I was still definitely affected by it. But by that next cup, it was about 4 weeks later. I was about 12 weeks after surgery, and I was good at that point. I mean, I felt like I was 100%, and that was. So that kind of went along with what they said. They said 6 to 8 weeks you'll feel pretty good, and I did. But it was really 12 weeks before. I mean, which is 3 months, before. And I did a lot more exercising at that time than I do right now. We were going to the gym and trying to get back into shape. So it definitely was it was a process.
Yeah.
Yep, sure was. So.
Glad it was.
Yeah, but no, I had great care at home, especially those first few weeks. But no, I think that'll wrap that one up.
Yeah, well, we're excited to see. I don't know if excited's the word.
We'll see how this next one goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but tune in next week to check out the kids takeover episode. And share the verse again. Jeremiah 17:14. It says, "Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved. For you are the one I praise."
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for watching. Yeah. See y'all next week.